So my first question is, how do you feel like tonight's debate, especially in a Chinese community? This is our first time. A lot of people say this is their first time to hear from 10 candidates, their debate, their answer different questions.
Yeah.
How do you feel like, debate? And do you think you did a good job?
First, I think the fact that we had this debate was awesome, because my dad, I mentioned, is an African immigrant. There was an African immigrant debate a few weeks ago. I think it's so important for immigrant communities to have an active voice in their politics. And so this was just great that this was the first of its kind that happened. And I think I did well. I have a lot of similarities, being the son of an immigrant, growing up here in Montgomery County, low income, getting opportunity to have higher education in law school, working in the White House, working in Congress for Nancy Pelosi and others. So I think I did well. I think I described my experience, both life and federal policy, because you need someone that has both. You need people that know what working people are going through, but also can get something done in Congress. So I think that was made clear tonight, and I'm glad for the Chinese American community, who we need to have more engagement from.
So tonight, actually, we discuss 4 questions, which is selected from all the Chinese people. They submit their question and they choose the top 4 questions. And my question is, if you were be elected as a congressman, and what's your top priority to serve the community?
I think the top priority is educational opportunity, making sure college is affordable and accessible, and then making sure our economy gets back on track. And that starts with supporting small businesses, many of whom are Chinese Americans and other immigrants who come here with a great work ethic and are oftentimes get caught up in red tape. They don't have access to the same procurement with federal government contracts and grants. And so I think making sure that we have education that's affordable and accessible, and then that we focus on supporting small and minority businesses, because that's really the lifeblood of this economy. And so those are the 2 things that when I get to Congress I want to focus on the most, because I think if we rise the economy and rise educational level, everyone's going to succeed and have a chance at the American dream.
So as you know, in the Chinese community, of course, they want to choose a congressman who represent their, concern. So what do you think, and what's your think, you can help, Chinese community or Asian community to get their, voice of,
Yeah, I think it's critically important that we have more diverse voices at the table. I often talk about 90% of our elected officials in the country are white. 53% of Congress are millionaires, the highest number ever. And part of that is because we don't have enough diverse voices around the table. That's why Congress has a 14% approval rating. So my focus is that of a bridge builder. I'm a first-generation American, son of an immigrant, but also grew up right here in Montgomery County and earned scholarships to school and have worked in the White House with President Obama, but also worked for Nancy Pelosi in the House in passing legislation at the federal level. So I would bring that experience, that diversity, to representing all the communities in our area. As you know, Montgomery County is majority people of color now, between African Americans, between Latinos and Asian Americans, and Chinese Americans being the largest number of Asian Americans. And I think that's the strength of our country, that's the strength of our community, and we have to have those voices heard. So I would make sure my staff reflects the Chinese and Asian American community as far as people I hire. I'll make sure that I have forums in those communities, and I'll make sure that I bring my diverse perspective as a first-generation immigrant to bear when I'm deciding policy and working with others.
Okay.
Thank you.